in a month, right? Every time you do a purchasing, right, what it does, it generates a unique sales order number, right? Every time you make a bank online payment, it generates a transaction ID, right? Getting it? So different tables gonna store different information, right? Which customer may place an order, right? A customer ID will be here. What order you placed, right? That information will be stored in a different table, which is VBEK. Your banking transaction information will be stored in a different table where you'll be having your transaction ID, right? So every table must have a primary key. Like you said, it's a unique and it's a not null value, right? Like here, this is my sales order, right? So here my sales document number is my primary key, right? So all the tables will be having a primary key. Like even if I have to create a table, right? Like I said, in ABAP, whenever you're creating any table, you don't need to have any SQL understanding and knowledge, right? You don't even need to write any single SQL query. Like I'm creating a database table right now, right? Let's say we need to do little configuration here, right? We will discuss all these things later on. Like we have this delivery class, right? We will be discussing all these things in detail later on, right? We need to do a little bit of configuration. Like it says display maintenance should be allowed, not allowed, restricted, right? Technical settings we need to define. We have all the screens and interfaces here, right? In the backend, it takes care of everything. All these things, technical setting, enhancement category, which I'm doing has a meaning. Now we have this screen you can see, right? Now what I can do, depending on what kind of business requirement I have, right? Depending on what kind of fields I want, right? What I can do, I can create my database, right? And here I can define all the fields. Like if I'm defining a customer ID, right? I define a customer name, right? I define a customer type, right? I can choose which will be my primary key. Let's say if I'm defining my customer ID is my primary key, right? We have to define data elements as well. We have another option. I can define my data type here. So I have a drop down. I can choose corresponding to customer ID, which will be my data type. So here I have a list of all the data types. If I choose it as numeric, right? Let's say it's the 5 length, right? I define a description here. Name, I can choose it as character. Character is alphanumeric, right? Let's say I'm defining it as 25, right? Then I have a customer type again. I can define it as, let's say 20, right? I'm almost done with my table creation. I can have more fields as per my business requirement. I can save it. Again, I need to activate. Activation is for creating an object corresponding to whatever I'm creating, whether it's a table or it's a program, right? Now you see, we are done with the table creation with 3 fields, right? We didn't write any SQL query, right? Now, if you have to make entries, automatically it will generate screens for us. We have an option for the create entry. It will automatically generate a screen for us. And using that screen, I can make entry, right? Let's say if I'm defining 100 here, anchor here, let's say customer type is, let's say silver, right? I click on save here, right? If I again try to enter another record with the same customer ID, right, it will not let me do it, right? Because we have defined this customer ID as a primary key. What it says in the bottom left, you can see the data record with a specified key already exists, right? So let's me change it, right? If I again go back, right, I want to search for the record, I want to display the records. We have another option, display. It will automatically generate a selection screen for us. Selection screen is basically like if you have millions of records, thousands of records, right? You want to search for any specific record, right? You must have seen when you call any customer care, right? They have a list of multiple customers, right? Now, when you call up, right, they ask you for your phone number, they ask you for your client ID, they ask you for your customer ID, right? And rest of the information. So what they do, they do have this kind of screen, right? If I mention, say, Ankur here, right? So what it will do, it will search for only the specific record. I can mention a range here, right? Like if I don't give Ankur, right? I'm looking out for people from, right, customer ID from 10 to 120, right? What it will do, it will match the criteria and will search only the specified records, right? Even if I have to edit it, I don't need any SQL query. I can just simply select the record. We have an edit option here, right? No doubt you cannot change the customer ID, right? Then we have, I change the customer type here, right? So as far as my database is concerned, right, creating and managing tables, right, you don't need to write any SQL query. Getting me? People who are already working on some kind of database or some kind of application development, Java, .NET or anything, right? I guess they must be able to see, compared to other programming, it's not that difficult to understand. Obviously, right now I'm just creating these 2-3 fields, right? I'm just defining 2-3 lines of code, right? But when in real time you're writing, obviously you will need to write the whole business process. But just to get an overview, it's not that difficult to write and execute it. You don't need to worry about any kind of connectivity with the application server or database server. Getting me? Clear, guys?
Yes, Ankur. I have a small doubt in this thing. Where
Uh-huh.
we define this is which database, SQL Server or some other MySQL? Where we define this thing?
Right. Whenever the first thing, right? As far as your database is concerned, you don't need to worry about which database we are using, right? Because be it any database, whether you're using Oracle, SQL Server, or any other database, right? Irrespective of your database, your application will work in the same way, right? Clear
Right.
with this one thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing is like, as far as the database is concerned, right? Which database you're using, you can go to the system. We have a status here. In the status, we can see which application server we are using, which patch version we are using, right? We get all this system information here, right? You can see we have this SQL server, we have this database data, right? You get the database information here. It might be SQL, it might be DB2, it might be Oracle, it can be any database, right? Clear with your database issue?
Yes, Ankur. Thanks.
And as far as like this software is concerned, the patch files are concerned, right? We get all the information here. Let me just show you again, right? Above database data, we have the system data, right? Once you click on it, component information, it will be showing you all the patches which are installed over a period of time. Like even when you install any kind of software in your mobile phone or laptop, you keep on getting different kind of updates, right? So same updates you can see here, which component is there, which release we are working on, which service pack level, SP level is there, right? Support package and all the information, we can get here. Usually this information is required by the technical team, by basis team. Basis is basically a networking team which takes care of SAP software. Like in our company, we have admin team, right? Any issues, anything which is not working, we leave it to the admin team. They will be taking care of it, right? Any other doubts, any queries, anything which is not clear as of now?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, you have created purchase. I have finance background. So suppose
Mhm.
purchase different type of purchases. So different table create different data. That type. Suppose raw material is different in manufacturing company.
Mhm.
So that type different table
Raw material
created
can
for.
be different, right? Like if
Yeah.
I
Yes.
just
Yes.
show you
The
for
each
material,
raw
right? When
material.
you're mentioning about the material, right?
Yes. Yes.
We have this MARA table, right? MARA. It is a standard table which takes care of, it's a material master table which takes care of all the materials, right? Here you can see we have a column material type, right? Now, whether you're creating a raw material, you're creating a semi-finished product, you're creating a finished product, purchasing, or creating any kind of product, right? It will be having everything in a single table, right? I'll just show you. Right now, we can see this table, right? This is a training table, right? This table already contains 20,990 records for you to access and use, right? If I execute it, right? This is my field MTART for material type. Now you can see we have different values here. ROH stands for raw material. FERT stands for finished product, right? Then we have finished product, trading goods, and all those products. So be it any kind of industrial sector you have, every time you'll not be having different tables. You'll be having single table. That table will be having all the materials. The types will be defined here, right? Materials are created by
Yes. Yes. Sir. Right.
material
Right. Right. Sir.
management people, right?
Okay.
We have a standard T code MM01. We have a,
Okay.
right?
Sir,
Now
one
if I
another.
have to create any material, right?
One
Whether I'm into
another question.
manufacturing, I'm into service, I'm into trading, right? Unless you define a material, you'll not be able to create it. Unless you'll not be able to use it in any department. Even if we are into manufacturing, right? A production guy need to create a finished product. Even to create a finished product, he need multiple materials, he need multiple components. So unless those components are defined in this material management, right? Let me just show you, right? I'm creating a one material. Now you can see we have multiple industrial sectors. Now the material which I'll be creating belongs to which industrial sector, whether it belongs to aerospace, beverages, chemical industry, commodity, education services, not only product which I'm raw material, even the services which I'm providing
Yes. Sir.
is defined here, right? You can see like we have this education services, food and related products, mechanical, right? Let's say if I'm choosing mechanical here, then we have different material types here. Right now, like someone had already created these chunk materials, right? But let's say we have raw material here, right? Whether you want to create a raw material, you want to create a semi-finished, right? We have a semi-finished here. We have a samples here, right? Even if a company is creating any product, right? Samples are there, right? So everything is defined here. Even if I'm creating a finished product, so any point of time, you need to create any kind of product, whether it's a raw, finished, semi-finished, services, everything has to be defined this material management, right? And it goes in the table MM01, right? So you don't have to create multiple tables. Clear?
Clear, sir. Sir, one another
Clear with
question.
your doubt related to
Sir,
this
suppose
single
material,
table or multiple tables related to product?
but current time no tax including tax is different for material different
Any
taxes.
other doubts related to anything,
Sir,
to anyone?
अंकुर जी आपको आवाज नहीं आ रही क्या समीर का?
Hello.
अंकुश,
Hello.
अंकुर,
Anyone, any doubts, any queries?
1 second.
Ankur's
Sameer,
system is on mute.
yeah, Sameer, Jatin, 1 second. I'll just tell you.
Hello. Voice is clear, sir.
Sameer, 1 second. Just hold on.
I
Hold
cannot hear anyone.
So your system is muted. Wait.
Hello?
1 second. Can you hear me now? Ankush sir, can you hear me now?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, Ankush.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah, so sir, my question is, Ashish this side, like in order to update this all knowledge base, when we say that we go on manufacturing and we see the multiple options there. In the similar fashion, if we go for the aerospace and then we see the multiple options in order to
Right.
select the tables. So how this knowledge base being created? Is there any custom elements which is push it across in order to boost up the whole database, or how it is being like? Just for my curiosity.
Like I said,
Yeah,
the database gonna be remain same, right? Whether it's a chemical industry, aerospace, like even if you talk about Airport Authority of India is also using SAP, right? Reliance is also using SAP, and even Bhushan Steel is also using SAP, right? Be it